Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Newcastle United now looking to sign a £25 million player as soon as possible. Journalist Dean Jones has suggested that Newcastle United are aiming to wrap up a deal for Arsenal defender Kieran Tierney as soon as possible. Eddie Howe will be keen to bolster his squad this summer after qualifying for the Champions League. Newcastle will need added depth if they are to continue their encouraging form in the Premier League while competing in Europe. The Magpies have been heavily linked with a move for Kieran Tierney ahead of the summer as they bid to bring in competition for Bern. Indeed, the Times reported just last week that Newcastle are confident of snapping up Tierney from Arsenal, and it seems that Newcastle are keen to get a deal done sooner rather than later as they prepare for a busy summer window. Jones has suggested that Newcastle are confident over signing Tierney this summer despite stern competition for his signature. He said, I think that they are confident that the competition isn't too fierce. They have definitely got competitors for him, but I think they will be looking to get this one done as soon as they can, just so they know they can focus on other areas. Tierney has struggled for game time at Arsenal due to the arrival of Zinchenko last summer. The 26-year-old was limited to just 6 starts in the Premier League this season and looks set to leave the Emirates Stadium as a result. The Scotland international had quickly established himself as a key man under Mikel Arteta after making the £25 million switch from Celtic in 2019. But it's fair to say that he doesn't seem to be the right fit for Arteta's preferred style, with the Spaniard preferring Zinchenko over him this season. Yet, Tierney would be a brilliant addition to the Newcastle squad, and he'd provide Howe with a different option at left back. He boasts an excellent delivery and would offer more of an attacking threat than Byrne down the left-hand side. Fabrizio Romano shares Reiss Nelson and Arsenal contract update. Arsenal are monitoring along nicely with their summer plans and have reportedly sorted a new contract for midfielder Reiss Nelson. Talks have been underway with Nelson for a few weeks now after initially looking like he'd leave the Emirates, and after appearing to convince Nelson he has a future with the Gunners. It seems the Hale and Academy product will indeed be putting pen to paper. Taking to his Twitter account, respected journalist and transfer expert Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Nelson is indeed set to sign the contract. Giving the deal his now well-known "Here we go," Romano has confirmed that Nelson will sign a new deal with Arsenal until 2027. Romano claims that Arsenal are wanting Nelson to sign his contract as soon as possible to ward off interest or bids from other clubs. Nelson played a bit part role for the Gunners last term, but did enough in the games he was involved in to convince Arteta of his value to the club. The Gunners are still expected to add a host of new players this summer. However, Nelson will get the chance to impress, it seems. For Reiss Nelson, you do feel this is a bit of a make or break season for the midfielder. He has done well to keep within the squad, but he needs to kick on now. A new contract won't hurt either party, of course. For Arsenal, it protects his value, while for Nelson, it gives him security, even if he doesn't play much. Come Christmas time, if he still isn't featuring, we can expect to see Nelson talked about in terms of a move away again, but for now, it seems like he is ready to fight for his place and show just why he's been given fresh terms. Arsenal now make their move to sign a £22 million player who once admitted he was a boyhood Gunners fan. Arsenal have reportedly opened talks with Leicester City star Timothy Castagne, a player who once admitted he was a boyhood Gunners fan. That's according to Belgian journalist Sacha Tavolieri, who took to Twitter on Sunday to claim that Arsenal have made their move to sign Castagne. Arsenal will be keen to bolster Mikel Arteta's squad over the summer after narrowly missing out on the Premier League title this season. The Gunners will be on the lookout for a new right back and possibly even a player for the opposite flank, with Kieran Tierney's future in doubt. Mikel Arteta's men have already been linked with a move for Timothy Castagne, with the Daily Mirror reporting that the 27-year-old is on their radar. Now, it seems Arsenal have stepped up their interest in the Belgian fullback. Tavolieri claims that Arsenal have opened talks with Leicester over signing Castagne this summer. The Leicester star is Arsenal's number 2 target behind Real Valladolid's Ivan Fresneda, and that the move could develop quickly. Castagne completed a switch to Leicester for a fee worth £22 million back in September 2020. The fullback enjoyed a brilliant start to life in the Premier League under Brendan Rodgers, but he struggled for form over the past year, and before making the switch to the King Power Stadium, he once claimed he was a boyhood Arsenal fan, but he also admitted that would prefer a move to Tottenham over Arsenal at the time. While his previous comment on Tottenham won't go down well with Arsenal fans, the two North London clubs have gone in completely different directions over the past 3 years. Arteta has built a side capable of challenging for the Premier League title, and it would be difficult to see Castagne turning them down now. While Castagne hasn't been at his best for the Foxes this season, he could be a decent backup option for Arsenal. Arsenal in good position for Gundogan signing, says Mertesacker. James Oley recently reported for ESPN that Arsenal have offered a contract to Manchester City midfielder Ilkay Gundogan, who is yet to make a decision over whether he will stay with the club or leave on a free transfer. German outlet Sport 1 reported that Gundogan will make a decision on his future in the coming days, with Arsenal, Barcelona, and Paris Saint-Germain all in the race. The same outlet carries quotes from Arsenal Academy manager Per Mertesacker from his appearance on TV for the Champions League final. He said, "I think the clubs are queuing. Arsenal are in a good position because Arteta knows him and we probably haven't broken off contact. We are in a good position. I think he will let it all sink in first and then choose from one of the four clubs." Ahead of the Champions League final, Gundogan's agent spoke out to deny reports of a new deal for the player at Manchester City. He said, "Nothing has been agreed with City or any other club. The recent reports are not true. Ilkay is only focused on the final." Now that the final is in the past, you'd think the matter of Gundogan's future will be brought into sharper focus. When Gundogan does sit down with City to negotiate, it appears the primary stumbling block is City's intention to sign him up to a one-year deal. ESPN claims City are only offering a 12-month contract, with Barcelona prepared to hand the midfielder a two-year deal, and little clarity over Arsenal's potential offer. David Ornstein reports that Mikel Arteta has identified Gundogan as the ideal replacement for Granit Xhaka, assuming Xhaka joins Bayer Leverkusen. Gundogan's experience is viewed as a valuable asset to Arsenal, but City haven't given up hope of convincing him to extend. They will attempt to reach a compromise, perhaps involving an initial one-year deal with a 12-month option on top of that. Gundogan ended up proving pivotal for Manchester City in the season's title race, scoring 5 goals in 6 games from the start of April onwards. He then scored a brace in the FA Cup final and played the full Champions League final as well. In total, the midfielder made 51 appearances in all competitions this season, scoring 11 goals and assisting 7. He is also City's club captain. A lot has changed, says Xavi Simons amid Arsenal links. Xavi Simons has spoken out on his future, suggesting PSV's change in manager has given him a decision to make amid links to Arsenal. In quotes reported by Fabrizio Romano, Xavi Simons admitted Ruud van Nistelrooy's decision to resign as PSV manager could affect his plans for the future. He said, "Clearly a lot has changed now. I haven't met or spoken to the new manager yet. I will speak to him and sit with PSV, then decide my future. I am aware of the PSG clause to bring me back, but as far as I am aware, they also don't have a manager yet." Reliable PSV reporter Rick Elfrink recently reported that Arsenal are one of a number of Premier League clubs following Simons, and they could make a move for him this summer. Mark Tamber of Dutch outlet 6 report that Arsenal currently appear to be the most concrete option for Simons, despite PSG's close to bring him back to France. From PSV's perspective, they'd prefer to keep the player in the Netherlands. They'd like to give Simons a new contract and remove his buyback clause. But Simons want to play in the Champions League, which isn't completely guaranteed at PSV next season, and he is not happy with how the Van Nistelrooy situation was dealt with. The player recently changed agents, signing up with Darren Dane, the son of former Arsenal co-owner David Dane. Whether that makes Arsenal move more likely isn't clear, but it's another link to the Gunners. 20-year-old Simons made 48 appearances for PSV this season, scoring 22 goals and assisting a further 12. Though none of those goal contributions came in his two Europa League matches against Arsenal, he nonetheless caught the eye, particularly in PSV's 2-0 home win. Simons is also a Dutch international, playing 3 times for the Netherlands over the last couple of breaks, including his debut at the World Cup. Chelsea are now readying move to beat Arsenal to unbelievable signing. Fresh talks will take place soon. Chelsea are now preparing to make their move for Brighton midfielder Moses Caicedo as they bid to beat Arsenal to signing him. That's according to CBS Sport, which claims that Chelsea are expected to open fresh talks over signing Caicedo soon. Arsenal have been heavily linked with a move for Caicedo over the past 6 months after missing out on landing him in January. Mikel Arteta's men had 2 bids knocked back for the 21-year-old and were expected to return for the Ecuador International this summer. But Chelsea were also interested in the Brighton star in January, and it seems that Mauricio Pochettino's men are aiming to beat Arsenal to land him this summer. Writing in his latest column for CBS Sport, Fabrizio Romano claims that both Chelsea and Arsenal are targeting a move for Caicedo, but the Blues are expected to attack the situation soon and will open new talks over a summer move. The report notes that Declan Rice remains Arsenal's priority signing for the summer, and they are leading the race to sign the West Ham star. Caicedo looks set to leave Brighton this summer after an impressive campaign under Roberto De Zerbi. Of course, Arsenal are long-term admirers of the unbelievable midfielder, but it seems unlikely they will be able to snap up both Caicedo and Rice. Chelsea are in desperate need of a holding midfielder, as N'Golo Kante appears to have joined Saudi Arabia League. Mateo Kovacic is also attracting interest from Manchester City, and the Blues will be keen to bolster Pochettino's options in the middle of the park. Caicedo would certainly fit the bill for the new Chelsea boss, and it seems as they are trying to move ahead of Arsenal in the race to sign him. The London rivals have gone head-to-head in the transfer market on a few occasions recently, with Mykhailo Mudryk sealing a switch to Stamford Bridge after he looked nailed on to move to Arsenal, but it remains unclear whether or not the Gunners will firm up their interest in Caicedo, as they seem to be prioritizing a move for Rice. Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal think they are now ahead in race for a very good finisher. Arsenal are moving towards making an official approach to West Ham for midfielder Declan Rice and feel they are winning the race right now. Rice is attracting interest from a whole host of clubs this summer. Arsenal have been right in the mix from the start, but the likes of Chelsea, Bayern München and both Manchester clubs are big admirers of the Englandman. However, according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal have now spoken to Rice and as it stands are confident in getting a deal done for the West Ham skipper. Taking to his Twitter account, Romano offered a fresh update on the situation involving Rice and Arsenal. Romano has claimed that the next week will be crucial in terms of the bid, but interestingly, he has also claimed that positive talks have actually been held between the parties. Rice is currently coming back down to earth after helping guide West Ham to European glory in midweek. After the game, He said his focus was on West Ham, but admitted interest was there. Arsenal are looking for a new midfielder this summer, with Granit Xhaka expected to depart. Arsenal have got to get this deal over the line now. It's gone on for so long that if they miss out on Rice, it will seem a massive failure. Rice is the ultimate midfielder, really, as well as his well documented defensive work. Thomas Susek admitted that the Hammers skipper was also a very good finisher as well. Arsenal need to get a midfielder who changes the game for them, and Rice is that man. The price will end up being expensive, but the good news is that talks seem to be progressing. Hopefully, for Gunners fans anyway, a deal will be done and dusted before the window really gets motoring. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.